She woke up in the Alpha King's bed with no memory of how she got there. Well, that's a lie. She remembered everything. Every touch. Every whispered promise. Every moment that made her feel alive for the first time in her pathetic life. But here's the problem. He thinks her name is Elena. It's not. She's Aria. Elena's twin sister. The one who wasn't supposed to be there. The one who wore her sister's dress and stole a night that would change everything. And now, as she watches him sleep beside her, she knows three things with absolute certainty. 1. The mate bond snapped into place last night, binding their souls together forever. 2. When he wakes up and discovers the truth, he'll hunt her across the entire kingdom. And 3. She's already falling in love with a man who doesn't even know her real name. This is the story of how one lie, one night, and one impossible choice turned a nobody into the most wanted woman in the werewolf world. If you're ready for a story about deception, obsession, and a love that should never have existed, then buckle up, because this gets wild. Now, let me take you back to where it all began. But before we dive in fully, I'd like to know where you're watching from. Drop your country in the comments, hit that like button, and make sure you've subscribed, because this story is about to get wild. Aria's eyes snapped open to golden sunlight streaming through unfamiliar silk curtains. Her heart seized. This wasn't her bedroom. The massive four-poster bed beneath her was carved from dark wood. The sheets were worth more than her entire wardrobe, and the male arm draped across her waist belonged to the most dangerous man in the kingdom. Alpha King Lucian. She stopped breathing. His face was inches from hers, devastatingly handsome even in sleep. Dark hair fell across his forehead, and she could see the faint silver scars along his jaw from battles she'd only heard whispers about. His chest rose and fell in steady rhythm, and the heat radiating from his bare skin made her dizzy with memories of last night. Oh gods. What had she done? Aria carefully lifted his arm, praying he wouldn't wake. Her wolf whimpered at the loss of contact, which made no sense. She barely knew this man. Except she did know him. She'd spent hours with him last night, talking and laughing and feeling things she had no right to feel. Because he thought she was Elena. Her twin sister. The one who was supposed to be here. The one who'd had a complete breakdown in their bedroom yesterday afternoon, hyperventilating about meeting the Alpha King. I can't do this, Elena had sobbed, mascara running down her face. Everyone says he's ruthless. Cold. He's never taken a mate in 30 years, Aria. What if he's cruel? What if he hates me? Their father had arranged the introduction. A political alliance between their small moonshade pack and the king's vast territory. Elena was supposed to attend the ball, make a good impression, nothing more. Just go for the entrance, Aria had suggested, trying to calm her sister. Show your face so father doesn't lose his mind. I'll say you got sick and had to leave early. But Elena couldn't even manage that. She'd locked herself in the bathroom, panic attack in full force. So Aria had made the stupidest decision of her life. She'd put on Elena's silver gown, styled her hair the same way, and gone to the ball herself. Just for an hour. Just to keep their father from exploding and protect Elena from his rage. She never expected the mate bond to snap into place the second she walked into the ballroom. Their eyes had met across the crowded hall. The world stopped. Aria's wolf surged forward, howling one word, mine. Golden light had pulsed between them, visible only to werewolves, and every supernatural creature in the room had turned to stare. The Alpha King's eyes had flashed pure gold, his wolf rising to the surface. He'd moved through the crowd like a predator, everyone scrambling out of his path, until he stood directly in front of her. You, he'd said, voice rough. What's your name? She should have run then. Should have made an excuse and disappeared. Instead, she'd opened her mouth and lied. Elena. Elena Moonshade. Now, 12 hours later, she was extracting herself from his bed, her heart hammering against her ribs. The mate bond pulled at her chest like a fishhook, begging her to stay. To curl back into his arms and never leave. She grabbed her dress from the floor, not bothering to put it on. Just clutched it to her chest and ran barefoot through the palace corridors, thanking the gods it was early enough that no servants were about. Back in his room, she'd left a note on the pillow. Short. Brutal. Asterisk, I can't do this. Please forget me. Asterisk. If you're loving this story so far, hit that subscribe button because this is about to get intense. The Chower journey back to Moonshade territory was torture. Aria had stolen a horse from the palace stables, not caring about the theft. All she could think about was the Bond screaming at her to go back. Her wolf was furious, clawing at her insides, howling for their mate. He's not our mate, Aria whispered to herself as the horse galloped through the forest. He's Elena's political arrangement. This was a mistake. A terrible, wonderful mistake. But her chest ached like someone had carved out her heart. She reached home just after dawn, sneaking through the back entrance of their family's estate. Elena was pacing in their shared bedroom, still in her nightgown. Oh, thank the gods, Elena gasped when Aria stumbled through the door. I've been awake all night. What happened? Did anyone notice? Did he suspect anything? Aria wanted to scream. To tell her sister that everything had gone catastrophically wrong. That the Alpha King was Elena's fated mate, except he wasn't, because the Bond had latched onto Aria instead, and now she was dying inside. Nothing happened, Aria lied, stripping off the silver dress. I made an appearance. He was busy with other guests. No one suspected. Elena sagged with relief. I'm so sorry I put you through that. You're the best sister in the world. The best sister in the world. Right. The sister who'd just spent the night in bed with Elena's political match. Aria locked herself in the bathroom and sobbed silently into a towel. 3 days. She had 3 days of pretending everything was normal. 3 days of feeling the mate bond stretch and pull, growing more painful with distance. 3 days of watching Elena practice her smile in the mirror, preparing for the Alpha King's representative to arrive and escort her to the palace for a formal courtship. On the morning of the 3rd day, their father burst into breakfast with news that made Aria's blood run cold. Change of plans, Alpha Donovan announced, his weathered face tight with stress. The Alpha King himself is coming here. Today. He says he's coming to collect his mate personally. Elena dropped her fork. What? But I thought we had a month for formal courtship. Apparently he's decided to accelerate the timeline. Their father's eyes narrowed. Elena, did something happen at that ball? Did you speak with him? Elena's face went white. She looked at Aria in panic. Their mother, Luna Celeste, frowned. Elena, answer your father. I didn't go, Elena whispered. The room fell silent. What do you mean you didn't go? Alpha Donovan's voice dropped to a dangerous whisper. I had a panic attack. I couldn't do it. Then who? Their father's eyes swung to Aria. No. Tell me you didn't. Aria forced herself to meet his gaze. I went in her place. Just for an hour. I didn't think. You didn't think? Alpha Donovan roared, slamming his fist on the table. Dishes rattled. Do you understand what you've done? If the Alpha King discovers this deception, he could slaughter our entire pack for the insult. Donovan, please, their mother tried. The most powerful alpha in the kingdom is coming here, expecting to see the woman he met at the ball, and it's the wrong daughter. He turned to Elena, who was crying now. Can you pretend? Can you be convincing enough? I don't know what happened that night. Elena sobbed. I don't know what Aria said or did. What if he asks me something and I give the wrong answer? What if he realizes immediately? He'll realize immediately, Aria said quietly. All eyes turned to her. The mate bond snapped into place when we met. Her mother gasped. Her father looked like he might have a stroke. The mate bond, Alpha Donovan repeated slowly, formed between you and the Alpha King. Yes, this is a disaster. Her father sank into his chair, head in his hands. This is an absolute disaster. I'll fix it, Aria said, her mind racing. I'll keep pretending to be Elena. I'll act cold, distant. I'll make him reject the bond. Make him think Elena changed her mind. Then I'll disappear and everyone can move on. You think you can make the Alpha King reject his fated mate? Her father laughed bitterly. You stupid, stupid girl. Fated bonds don't break. They drive wolves insane. Then what do you suggest? Aria snapped. Because Elena can't face him. Look at her. Elena was hyperventilating again, practically under the table. Their mother's voice cut through the chaos. Aria will continue the deception. For now, we tell the Alpha King that Elena needs time to adjust to the bond. That she's overwhelmed. We buy ourselves time to figure out a real solution. And if he discovers the truth? Alpha Donovan demanded. Then we pray he's merciful, Luna Celeste said grimly. If you're on the edge of your seat right now, drop a comment below telling us what you would do in Aria's situation. And don't forget to like this video. The Alpha King arrived at sunset with an entourage of 20 wolves, all of them radiating power. Aria watched from her bedroom window as they rode through the gates, her heart in her throat. Lucian dismounted in one fluid motion, and even from this distance, Aria could feel the pull. The bond flared to life, recognizing his proximity, and she had to grip the windowsill to stay upright. He was magnificent. Tall and broad-shouldered, moving with predatory grace. He wore all black, silver embroidery on his jacket catching the dying light. His dark hair was tied back, revealing those intense amber eyes that had stared into her soul 3 nights ago. Aria. Elena appeared at her side, gripping her hand. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. It's not your fault. Aria squeezed back, even though part of her wanted to scream that yes, it absolutely was Elena's fault. Just stay out of sight. If he sees both of us together. I know. Their father had gathered the pack in the main courtyard for a formal greeting. Aria descended the stairs in Elena's favorite blue dress, her hands shaking. She'd braided her hair the way Elena always wore it, painted her lips the same shade of rose. But when she stepped into the courtyard and Lucian's eyes locked onto hers, she knew all the cosmetic tricks in the world wouldn't matter. The mate bond slammed into her with the force of a freight train. Her knees buckled. Lucian was across the courtyard in an instant, catching her before she fell, his hands burning into her arms. Mate, his wolf rumbled, the sound vibrating through his chest. Up close, he was even more devastating. Those amber eyes searched her face, confusion and hunger warring in their depths. Elena, he said, but something in his tone suggested he was testing the name. Your Majesty. She forced herself to step back, out of his grip. The loss of contact physically hurt. Welcome to Moonshade territory. He frowned. You left. I apologize for my rudeness. You left a note telling me to forget you. The entire pack was watching. Her father's face was rigid with fear. Aria lifted her chin. I panicked. The bond, it's overwhelming. It's a gift, Lucian said, voice dropping low. Intimate. Like they were the only 2 people in the courtyard. A rare gift that most wolves never experience. Perhaps too rare for someone like me. His eyes flashed. What does that mean? I mean, Aria took a breath, hating every word she was about to say. I don't think this arrangement will work, Your Majesty. The bond is a mistake. The temperature in the courtyard dropped 10 degrees. Lucian's wolves all tensed, sensing their king's rising fury. The bond, he said carefully, doesn't make mistakes. Then maybe I'm making one by being here. Aria, her father hissed. She'd forgotten. Elena never called herself Aria. Lucian's head tilted slightly, like a wolf catching an unexpected scent. You're rejecting me, he said flatly. I'm saying we should take time. Get to know each other properly before making any permanent decisions. Before he could respond, Alpha Donovan stepped forward, plastering on a diplomatic smile. Your Majesty, perhaps we're moving too quickly. My daughter is young and used to the intensity of a fated bond. If you could grant her some time to adjust. Time, Lucian repeated. His gaze never left Aria's face. You want time? Yes, Aria whispered. Something flickered in his eyes. Hurt? Anger? Then his expression shuddered into the cold mask of a king. Very well. 1 week. Your daughter will stay at my palace as my guest. If, at the end of that week, she still wishes to reject the bond, I'll let her go. What? Aria breathed. 1 week to get to know each other properly, as you suggested. His smile was sharp. Unless you're afraid? It was a challenge. A trap. And Aria had no choice but to walk into it. I'm not afraid, she lied. Good. Lucian turned to her father. Have her packed and ready to leave within the hour. Then he walked away, his wolves following, leaving Aria standing in the courtyard with her heart pounding and her entire world crumbling around her. Elena appeared at her elbow, tears streaming down her face. I'll tell him. Right now. I'll tell him the truth. No. Aria grabbed her sister's wrist. Father's right. If Lucian discovers the deception, he'll slaughter everyone. I have 1 week to make him lose interest. I can do this. How? Elena sobbed. Aria didn't have an answer. She just knew that she'd walked into the Alpha King's orbit 3 nights ago, and now gravity was pulling her inexorably toward him. One way or another, this was going to end in devastation. The palace was even more intimidating in daylight. Massive stone walls stretched toward the sky, silver wolf emblems carved into every archway. Aria's escort, a stern female beta named Cassandra, led her through corridors that seemed to go on forever, past servants who bowed and averted their eyes. The Alpha King has given you the West Wing suite, Cassandra said, her tone clipped. You'll have complete privacy. Dinner is at 8. He expects you to join him. And if I don't? Cassandra's lips twitched. Then he'll come get you himself. Trust me, it's easier to just comply. The suite was larger than Aria's entire house back home. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked gardens that glowed in the moonlight. A massive bed dominated the room, and Aria tried not to think about how she'd woken up in a similar bed just days ago. She had 3 hours until dinner. 3 hours to figure out how to push away a mate bond that was currently shredding her insides because Lucian was somewhere in this palace, and every cell in her body was screaming at her to find him. A knock on the door made her jump. Come in, she called, expecting Cassandra. Instead, Lucian filled the doorway. He'd changed into more casual clothes, dark pants, and a white shirt with the sleeves rolled up, revealing forearms corded with muscle. His hair was loose now, falling past his shoulders, and those amber eyes locked onto her with an intensity that made her mouth go dry. You're early, she managed. I wanted to check on you. He stepped inside, closing the door behind him. The journey was long. I'm fine. You're lying. He moved closer, and Aria forced herself not to retreat. Your heartbeat just spiked. You're terrified. I'm not. Don't. His voice softened. Please don't lie to me again. The again hit her like a slap. Did he know? Had he figured it out? What do you mean? She whispered. Lucian stopped a foot away, close enough that she could smell him pine and smoke, and something wild that made her wolf purr. At the ball, you were vibrant. Alive. You laughed at my terrible jokes and challenged me when I was being an arrogant ass. Now you look at me like I'm going to hurt you. You're the Alpha King. You could destroy my entire pack with a word. Is that what you think of me? Something flickered across his face. Pain. That I'd punish innocent wolves because my mate is afraid? I don't know what to think. I don't know you. Then let me fix that. He gestured toward the balcony. Walk with me. No pressure, no expectations. Just 2 people talking. Every instinct told her to refuse. To maintain distance. But the bond was pulling so hard she physically ached, and maybe if she gave it this one small concession, it would ease enough for her to think clearly. Fine, she said. Just a walk. The gardens were breathtaking. Moonflowers bloomed along the paths, their white petals glowing silver. Lucian walked beside her, careful not to touch, but she could feel the heat radiating from his body. Tell me about your pack, he said. What's it like growing up in Mooshade? Small. Quiet. Nothing like this. Aria gestured at the sprawling palace. We have maybe 200 wolves total. Everyone knows everyone. Sounds peaceful. It is. Was. She bit her lip. My father runs it like a military operation. Lots of rules. Expectations. Let me guess. He expects you to be perfect. She glanced at him sharply. How did you know? Because you're terrified of disappointing people. I saw it at the ball. Every time someone important approached, you'd tense up, like you were bracing for criticism. The observation was too accurate. Too intimate. You noticed that? I noticed everything about you. His voice dropped. The way you tucked your hair behind your left ear when you were nervous. How you bit your bottom lip when you were thinking. The fact that you're doing it right now. Aria's teeth released her lip. Stop analyzing me. I can't help it. You're fascinating. I'm really not. Lucian stopped walking, forcing her to face him. You spent an entire evening debating political philosophy with me. You argued that smaller packs deserve more autonomy, even though you knew I could shut you down. You have opinions and fire and strength. His hand lifted, hovering near her face, but not quite touching. Why are you trying so hard to pretend you don't? Because I'm not supposed to be here, she wanted to scream. Because every moment with you is stolen, and when you find out the truth, you'll hate me. I should go back inside, she whispered. Run away again? His jaw clenched. That's all you do, isn't it? Every time things get intense, you bolt. Maybe that's who I am. No. He stepped closer, and now they were inches apart. That's who you're pretending to be. The woman I met at the ball didn't run from anything. The mate bond was screaming now, begging her to close the distance. To touch him. Taste him. Aria's hands fisted in her dress to keep from reaching out. You don't know me, she said desperately. Then let me. His eyes searched hers. Give me this week. Let me prove that you don't have to be afraid. If you're wondering whether she's going to give in or keep running, smash that like button and drop your predictions in the comments. Dinner was an intimate affair in his private dining room. Just the two of them, candles flickering on the table, and food Aria was too anxious to eat. Lucian kept the conversation light. Asked about her favorite books, her hobbies, what she liked to do when she wasn't attending political balls. He was charming and funny and so attentive that she kept forgetting this was supposed to be a lie. Why haven't you taken a mate before now? She asked, then immediately regretted the question. He set down his wine glass. Honest answer? Please. Because I was waiting for this. He gestured between them. The bond. I watched my parents, saw how happy they were as true mates. I didn't want anything less. That's romantic. My advisors thought I was insane. Told me I was being impractical, that I needed heirs and alliances. But I'm immortal or close to it. I figured I had time to wait for the right person. His gaze intensified. Then I walked into that ballroom and saw you. Guilt twisted in Aria's stomach. What if the bond is wrong? What if we're not actually compatible? The bond doesn't lie. It connects souls that complement each other. That belong together. He leaned forward. I felt it the second our eyes met. Didn't you? She had. Gods help her, she'd felt like lightning had struck her chest. Yes. Then why are you fighting it? Because I'm scared, she admitted. The truth slipped out before she could stop it. What if I'm not enough? What if you realize you made a mistake? Lucian stood, moving around the table until he was beside her chair. He knelt, bringing them eye level, and finally touched her. His hand cupped her face, thumb stroking her cheek, and the bond sang with relief. Listen to me, he said softly. You are not a mistake. This bond is not a mistake. And whatever fear is making you pull away, we'll face it together. Tears burned in Aria's eyes. You don't understand. Then help me understand. She wanted to. Gods, she wanted to tell him everything. But the words stuck in her throat, and instead, she did something infinitely more stupid. She kissed him. It was supposed to be brief. A moment of weakness. But the second their lips met, the mate bond exploded. Golden light flared around them, visible even with her eyes closed. Lucian groaned, his hand sliding into her hair, angling her head to deepen the kiss. It was fire and desperation and coming home all at once. Aria's hands fisted in his shirt, pulling him closer, and he responded by lifting her from the chair and setting her on the edge of the table. Dishes clattered. She didn't care. Elena, he breathed against her mouth, and the name shattered the moment. Aria shoved him back, scrambling off the table. I can't. I'm sorry. I can't do this. She ran. Again. Just like he'd accused her of doing. Down the corridor, into her suite, slamming the door and locking it behind her. On the other side, she heard Lucian's frustrated growl. We need to talk about this. Tomorrow, she called back, her voice breaking. Please. Just give me tonight. A long silence. Then, tomorrow. But we're having this conversation, Elena. I promise you that. His footsteps retreated. Aria slid down the door and buried her face in her hands, sobbing silently. Elena had tried to call her 3 times. Aria finally answered after midnight. How is it? Her sister asked immediately. Is he angry? Is he suspicious? It's a disaster, Aria whispered. He's perfect, Elena. He's everything we dreamed about when we were kids. Kind and strong, and he actually listens when I talk. And I'm lying to him with every breath. Then come home. Right now. We'll figure something else out. There is nothing else. If I leave, he'll follow. If I stay and he discovers the truth, he'll destroy us. Aria laughed bitterly. I'm trapped. I'll tell him. I'll go there right now and confess everything. No, Aria nearly shouted. Promise me you won't come here. Promise me, Elena. But, promise me. Okay. I promise. Elena sniffled. I hate this. I hate that you're suffering because I was too weak to face him. You're not weak. You're just different. There's nothing wrong with that. They talked for another hour, Elena catching her up on pack gossip, anything to distract from the nightmare. When they finally hung up, Aria felt hollower than before. She couldn't sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she felt Lucian's hands on her face, tasted him on her lips. The mate bond was going haywire from their kiss, demanding more, and her wolf was furious with her for running. At 3 a.m, she gave up and went to the palace library Cassandra had mentioned. Maybe losing herself in a book would help. The library was massive, 3 stories of floor-to-ceiling shelves. Aria was browsing the fiction section when a voice behind her made her jump. Couldn't sleep either? Lucian emerged from behind a shelf, wearing sleep pants and nothing else. His chest was bare, showing scars and tattoos that told stories of battles won. Aria forced her eyes back to his face. I didn't think anyone would be here, she said. I come here when my mind won't shut up. He gestured at the book in his hand. Ancient poetry. Usually does the trick. You read poetry? Don't look so surprised. Kings can appreciate art. He moved closer, studying her. You've been crying. She touched her face self-consciously. I'm fine. Another lie. But his tone was gentle. Can I show you something? Against her better judgment, she nodded. He led her to an alcove she hadn't noticed, where cushioned window seats overlooked the moonlit forest. They sat, and Lucian opened his book to a marked page. My mother used to read this to me, he said quietly. After my father died. When the grief was too much, and I thought I'd drown in it. He began reading in the old language, his voice low and melodic. Aria didn't understand all the words, but the emotion came through. Loss and hope and the promise that darkness eventually gives way to light. When he finished, silence stretched between them. Thank you, she whispered. That was beautiful. She taught me that strength isn't about never feeling pain. It's about facing it and choosing to keep going anyway. His eyes met hers. Whatever you're running from, Elena, you don't have to face it alone. That's what mates do. They carry the weight together. The urge to confess was overwhelming. To tell him everything and beg forgiveness. But the words wouldn't come. Instead, she leaned her head against his shoulder, just for a moment, and felt him freeze in surprise before his arm came around her. They sat like that until dawn, watching the moon set and the sun rise. Not talking. Just being. It was the most peaceful Aria had felt in days. And the most terrified, because she was falling in love with a man who didn't even know her real name. The next 3 days followed a similar pattern. Lucian would find excuses to spend time with her. Private meals. Walks through the gardens. He took her riding through the forest on horseback, and she laughed for the first time in weeks when his stallion tried to bite him. Respect, Midnight, Lucian grumbled at the horse. I'm your king. Midnight snorted and tried to bite him again. Aria couldn't stop giggling. This is your fault, Lucian accused, but he was grinning. He's showing off for your mare. Maybe he just has good taste in friends. Are we friends now? He maneuvered his horse closer to hers. I was hoping for something more. The flirting was constant. Heated looks across the dinner table. His hand lingering at the small of her back when he guided her through doorways. The way he'd tuck her hair behind her ear with an intimacy that made her breath catch. But he never pushed. Never demanded more than she was willing to give. And that restraint made her want him even more. On the 4th night, they were in the music room. Lucian played piano, another surprise, and convinced her to sing. She had a decent voice, nothing special, but the way he looked at her made her feel like she was performing in a cathedral. You're full of hidden talents, he murmured when the song ended. Not really. I'm pretty ordinary. There is nothing ordinary about you. He stood from the piano bench, crossing to where she stood by the window. Every day I discover something new. The way you hum when you're reading. How you always give the servants your dessert because you think they work too hard. The fact that you've memorized every one of my guards' names even though you've only been here 4 days. I just pay attention. Exactly. His hand cupped her face, and she leaned into the touch without thinking. You see people. Really see them. It's rare. Especially in positions of power. You see people too, she said softly. You knew Cassandra's daughter was sick before she even asked for time off. You make sure the kitchen staff gets festival bonuses. You're not the cold king everyone warned me about. Who warned you? His expression darkened. What did they say? Just rumors. That you're ruthless. Unforgiving. I can be. When someone threatens my pack or breaks their vows. His thumb stroked her cheek. But never with you. I could never hurt you. The words were a knife to her heart. Because when he discovered what she'd done, he would feel betrayed. Hurt. And that ruthless side everyone feared would emerge. What if I'm not who you think I am? She whispered. What do you mean? What if there are things about me you don't know? Things that would change how you feel. Lucian's eyes searched hers, confusion and concern warring in their depths. Everyone has secrets, Elena. But nothing you could tell me would change what I feel. The bond doesn't work that way. You can't know that. Yes, I can. He leaned closer, his forehead resting against hers. Because I'm falling in love with you. Not the idea of you. Not the political alliance. You. The woman who argues with me about literature and makes me laugh and looks at me like I'm more than just a crown and a title. No. No, no, no. He couldn't love her. Not when everything was a lie. Lucian. Whatever she was about to say was cut off by a commotion outside. Shouting. Running footsteps. Lucian tensed, moving in front of her protectively as the door burst open. Cassandra stood there, face pale. Your Majesty. We have a situation. What kind of situation? There's a woman at the gates. She says she's Elena Mouchade. Cassandra's eyes flicked to Aria. Your mate's twin sister. The world stopped. Aria's heart stopped. Everything stopped. Lucian turned slowly to look at her, and the confusion on his face was already hardening into something else. Something terrible. Twin sister, he repeated, voice deadly quiet. You have a twin sister. Aria couldn't breathe. Couldn't speak. Could only watch as understanding dawned in his eyes. No, he breathed. No, tell me you didn't. Lucian, please. What is your name? The Alpha King's roar shook the windows. His eyes flashed gold, wolf rising to the surface. Tears streamed down her face. Aria. My name is Aria. The silence that followed was deafening. Lucian stared at her like she was a stranger. Like she'd physically struck him. His chest heaved with barely controlled rage, and Aria could see his wolf fighting for dominance beneath his skin. Aria, he said, testing the name. Each syllable dripped with venom. Your name is Aria. Yes. And Elena is my twin sister. She was supposed to go to the ball. She had a panic attack. I went instead. I never meant for any of this to happen. You never meant, Lucian laughed, the sound sharp and bitter. You never meant to lie to me for over a week? You never meant to let me fall in love with someone who doesn't even exist. I do exist. Everything between us was real. Was it? He stepped closer, and she'd never seen him look so dangerous. Every conversation? Every touch? Every moment I poured my heart out to a woman who was lying to my face. I wanted to tell you. When? His roar echoed through the palace. When were you planning to tell me, Aria? After we completed the mate bond? After I made you my queen? Or were you just going to keep pretending to be your sister forever? I was trying to protect my pack. If you'd discovered the switch, you would have destroyed everyone. So you thought deceiving the Alpha King was the better option? He was shaking now, fists clenched at his sides. Do you understand what you've done? I've been hunting my own mate while she stood in front of me wearing someone else's name. Cassandra cleared her throat awkwardly from the doorway. Your Majesty, the other Miss Mouchade is still waiting. Bring her in, Lucian snarled. Let's get the whole truth out in the open. 2 guards escorted Elena into the room. She looked terrified, taking in Lucian's fury and Aria's tears. "I'm so sorry," Elena burst out immediately. "This is all my fault. I was supposed to go to the ball, but I was too afraid, and Aria went to protect me, and then the bond happened and everything spiraled and—" "Stop." Lucian held up a hand. His eyes moved between the two sisters, and Aria could see him cataloging the similarities. Same face, same height, same hair color. But Elena's eyes were softer, her posture more submissive. "You're Elena. The one I was supposed to meet." "Yes, Your Majesty." "And you knew about this deception?" Elena's lip trembled. "Not at first. I didn't know the bond had formed until Aria came home. By then, Father said if we revealed the truth, you'd consider it an act of war." "Your father was right." Lucian's voice was ice. "Deceiving an Alpha King is punishable by death for the entire pack." Aria stepped between them instinctively. "Please. They didn't know. This was my decision. My lie. Punish me, but leave them alone. Get out of my way." "No." She planted her feet. "You want to be angry? Fine. Rage at me. Hate me. But don't you dare take this out on innocent wolves who had nothing to do with my choices." "Innocent?" Lucian's laugh was hollow. "Your entire family conspired to deceive me. Your father knew. Your mother knew. They sent you here to continue the lie. Because they were terrified. You're the Alpha King. You could wipe out our entire territory with a single command. And you thought lying to me was better than trusting me with the truth?" His voice cracked. "I told you things I've never told anyone. I shared my grief, my hopes, He stopped, jaw clenching. "I was falling in love with you." The past tense cut deeper than any blade. "I was falling in love with you too," Aria whispered. "I am in love with you. That wasn't a lie. How can I believe anything you say?" He turned away from her, shoulders rigid. "Everything between us was built on deception." "Not everything. The bond is real. What I feel is real. The bond." He spun back, eyes flashing gold. "You mean the bond that formed between me and you, not the woman I was supposed to meet? The bond that exists because you took your sister's place and stole a night that wasn't yours to take." Elena flinched. "Your Majesty, I willingly gave up that night. I didn't want to go. Aria didn't steal anything." "Stay out of this," Lucian growled. He focused back on Aria. "Did you enjoy it? Playing dress up? Pretending to be someone important enough to catch a king's attention? That's not fair." "Fair?" His voice boomed. "You want to talk about fair? I spent 30 years waiting for my mate. 30 years of being told I was a fool for believing in true bonds. And when I finally found you, when I felt that connection, I thought the gods had blessed me." He stepped closer, and she could see the pain beneath the anger. "But it was all a trick. A cosmic joke. The woman I love doesn't even have the decency to exist." "I'm standing right here," Aria said, tears streaming down her face. "I'm real. What we shared was real. Was it? Or was it just Aria playing pretend? Tell me, when I held you in the library, when I played music for you, when I told you I was falling in love, were you laughing at me the whole time?" "No, never." "Then what were you doing?" "I was terrified," she shouted back. "Every moment with you was agony because I knew it would end. I knew when you discovered the truth, you'd look at me exactly the way you're looking at me now. Like I'm nothing. Like I'm disposable. You made yourself disposable by lying." The words were a death blow. Aria physically recoiled, and Lucian's expression flickered, just for a second, with regret. But then the mask of the Alpha King slammed back into place. "Cassandra," he said coldly. "Escort both Miss Mooshades to separate chambers. Under guard. They don't leave until I decide what to do with them." "Your Majesty," Aria started. "Don't." His eyes met hers, and they were empty. "Don't say another word. Every time you speak, I hear another lie." The guards moved forward. Elena was crying openly now, but Aria refused to look away from Lucian. Even as they led her from the room, she kept her eyes on him, willing him to see the truth. That she loved him. That she'd tried to protect him the only way she knew how. That she'd rather die than hurt him, but she'd done exactly that anyway. The door closed between them, and Aria heard something crash on the other side. Glass shattering. Lucian's roar of anguish. Then silence. If your heart is breaking right now, hit that subscribe button because we're not done yet. The story gets even more intense. They locked Aria in a tower room. Beautiful but isolated, with a guard stationed outside her door. She could see the forest from her window, could feel the mate bond stretching painfully in her chest, pulling her toward wherever Lucian was in the palace. She deserved this. Every bit of his rage and pain. She'd known the risks and taken them anyway. Hours passed. Maybe a full day. Time blurred. Servants brought food she couldn't eat. A healer checked on her when the bond separation started causing physical symptoms, shaking, fever, nausea. The Alpha King is suffering too, the healer said quietly as she pressed a cool cloth to Aria's forehead. Separated mates experience the same pain. Good, Aria whispered. He should hate me. He doesn't hate you. If he did, this would be easier for both of you. On the second day, Cassandra appeared with a grim expression. The Alpha King has made his decision. He asked the High Council. Your father and sister have been summoned as well. What does that mean? It means formal judgment. For crimes against the crown. Cassandra's face softened slightly. I'm sorry. I actually liked you. Even if you were lying about your name. They dressed Aria in a simple white dress, traditional for those facing judgment, and escorted her to the throne room. It was packed with nobles and council members, all watching with hungry eyes as she was led to the center. Lucian sat on his throne in full royal regalia. Crown, ceremonial robes, the works. He looked every inch the Alpha King. Untouchable. Inhuman in his perfection. Their eyes met across the room, and Aria felt the bond thrash desperately. His jaw clenched, and she knew he felt it too. Her father and Elena were already there, flanked by guards. Alpha Donovan looked furious and terrified in equal measure. Elena looked like she might faint. The High Council elder stepped forward. We're gathered to pass judgment on the crimes of deception against Alpha King Lucian. The accused are Aria Moonshade, Elena Moonshade, and Alpha Donovan of the Moonshade Pack. His voice echoed through the chamber. How do you plead? Guilty, Aria said immediately. My family had nothing to do with my initial deception. I went to the ball of my own free will. I lied about my identity. Everything that followed is my fault alone. That's not entirely true, Alpha Donovan said stiffly. I knew of the deception and allowed it to continue. I am equally culpable. As am I, Elena added, voice shaking. I should have confessed immediately. The elder looked to Lucian. Your Majesty, what is your judgment? Lucian stood, descending from his throne with lethal grace. He stopped in front of Aria, so close she could smell him, feel his heat. The bond screamed at her to touch him. You deceived your king, he said, loud enough for the entire room to hear. You took something that wasn't yours, my trust, my heart, a night that was meant for another. You lied repeatedly, even when given chances to confess. By law, this is punishable by death. Gasps echoed through the chamber. Elena sobbed. Aria kept her chin high. If that's your judgment, I accept it, she said steadily. But please, spare my family. They were protecting their pack. You accept death? Lucian's eyes searched hers. Just like that. If it means my family lives, yes. And what about our bond? You'd just leave me to suffer with a severed mate connection for the rest of my immortal life. You'll find someone else. There is no one else. His control finally snapped. The bond chose you, Aria. Not Elena, not some perfect political match, you. And now you're telling me you'd rather die than fight for us. There is no us. You just said I deserve death. I said it's punishable by death. I didn't say that was my judgment. He turned to address the room. The laws exist to protect our kind. But they also allow for mercy when circumstances warrant it. Yes, Aria Moonshade deceived me. But she did it out of fear and family loyalty, not malice. And everything that happened after that night was real. He looked back at her. Every conversation. Every moment. Every time she pushed me away, she was trying to protect me from the truth she knew would hurt me. That's not the behavior of someone acting with cruel intent. Your Majesty, one of the council members protested. If you show leniency here, others will think they can deceive you. Let them try, Lucian said coldly. And let them face the full consequences. But this case is different. This is my mate. He reached out, taking Aria's hand. The bond flared golden at the contact, and she gasped at the intensity. "I'm furious with you," he said quietly, just for her. "What you did was unforgivable. I know. But I'm also furious with myself. For being so intimidating that you felt lying was the only option. For not creating an environment where you felt safe telling the truth." His thumb stroked across her knuckles. "I don't want you to die, Aria. I want you to live. With me. As my mate and my queen. If you'll still have me." She stared at him in shock. "You're not serious." "I'm completely serious. But I lied to you. For days. I hurt you." "Yes, you did. And we'll spend years unpacking that. Going to therapy, probably. Having arguments where I throw your deception in your face and you rightfully point out that I'm being an ass." He pulled her closer. "But the alternative is living without you. And I've already experienced 2 days of that. It was hell." Lucian. Fresh tears spilled down her cheeks. "I don't deserve this. I don't deserve you." "Maybe not. But the bond doesn't care about deserving. It cares about souls that fit together." He cupped her face with his free hand. "You're my match, Aria. Not Elena. You. The woman who argued with me about politics and sang off-key and made me laugh for the first time in years. I don't want anyone else." "I love you," she whispered. "I've loved you since that first night. Every moment since has been torture because I knew I didn't deserve to love you. Then it's a good thing I'm choosing you anyway." He smiled, and it was real. Broken and hurt, but real. "Though you're going to have to work very hard to earn back my trust. I'll spend every day proving myself. I swear it." "Good. Because I'm vindictive when betrayed, and I'm going to milk this for all it's worth." But his eyes were soft. Forgiving. He kissed her then, in front of the entire court, and the bond exploded in golden light so bright people had to shield their eyes. When they broke apart, Aria was dizzy with relief and joy and disbelief that this was actually happening. Lucian turned back to the council. "My judgment is this. Aria Moonshade will become my mate and queen. Alpha Donovan and Elena Moonshade are pardoned for their parts in the deception. The alliance between Moonshade Pack and the crown stands." "Your Majesty," the elder said carefully, "the people will question your strength if you show mercy to those who deceived you." "Then let them question. I'm strong enough to choose forgiveness over vengeance." His arm wrapped around Aria's waist, pulling her against his side. "And anyone who thinks otherwise is welcome to challenge me." The threat in those words was clear. No one challenged. "This is insane," Aria whispered as the council dispersed, muttering among themselves. "Completely insane," Lucian agreed. "You're going to drive me crazy." "Probably. Definitely." He pressed a kiss to her temple. "But you're worth it." Elena approached cautiously, still flanked by guards. "Your Majesty, I owe you an enormous apology." "You owe me nothing," Lucian said, surprising her. "You knew your limits." "It takes courage to admit when something is beyond you." "And if you hadn't stepped back, I never would have met Aria." He smiled. "So in a way, I should be thanking you." Elena burst into tears of relief. Alpha Donovan looked like he'd aged 10 years, but also grudgingly impressed. "You're a better man than I gave you credit for," Aria's father said gruffly. "I'll make sure the alliance stands strong." "See that you do." Lucian's tone made it clear that forgiveness had limits. "And next time your daughter has a panic attack, maybe just send a letter instead of committing identity fraud." Despite everything, Aria laughed. It bubbled up from her chest, bright and unexpected. Lucian looked down at her, eyes crinkling. "There she is," he murmured. "My mate." Finally being herself. 6 months later, Aria stood in the palace gardens wearing a silver crown and a dress that actually fit her personality, bold red instead of demure pastels. The coronation had been beautiful, though she'd nearly passed out from nerves twice. "Breathe," Lucian whispered in her ear as they greeted yet another line of nobles. "You're doing great." "I called that duchess by the wrong name." "She's terrible anyway." "No one noticed." "Your mother noticed." The former queen had been polite but cool, clearly skeptical of her son's choice. "My mother will come around. She's just protective." He pressed a kiss to her shoulder. "And possibly bitter that I found my mate before she found me a politically advantageous match." Aria grinned. Life as queen was exhausting and terrifying, but also exhilarating. She'd started programs for smaller packs, gave women more voice in council meetings, and generally drove the old guard insane with her reforms. And every night, she fell asleep in Lucian's arms, still amazed that he'd chosen her despite everything. Elena had found her own happiness with a kind beta named Marcus. She visited often, and the guilt in her eyes had finally started to fade. Do you ever regret it? Aria asked Lucian now as the party finally wound down. Choosing me despite the lies? Every day, he said seriously, then grinned at her expression. I'm kidding. Well, mostly kidding. You're still infuriating. And you're still an arrogant ass. Match made in heaven. He pulled her close, and the bond hummed contentedly between them. Though next time you decide to deceive me, maybe just rob a bank instead. Less emotionally devastating. She laughed and kissed him, and if you made it to the end of the story, drop a comment telling us what part had you on the edge of your seat. And don't forget to subscribe for more werewolf romance stories that'll keep you up all night. Because sometimes the wrong twin is actually the right choice after all.